This is our 2005 GMC Canyon, and what started as a measly 3.5-liter Atlas inline 5 making a questionable 200 horsepower is now an all-wheel drive dig monster that can still click off 0 to 60 times that rival an R35 GTR. Don't let the dented and dilapidated bodywork fool you. Lots of care has been put into this truck, and mostly into one area, just going fast as fuck. With the help of Holley EFI, Texas Speed, QA1, and Mad Hatter Garage, we are resurrecting a 90s nameplate but with modern electronics and engine controls, custom all-wheel drive system, Corvette suspension, and hopefully by the end, triple the power of the original Cyclone from 1991. Welcome to episode 1 of Project Cyclone.
So getting into the nitty gritty of this build. So starting from front to back, I'm gonna kind of show you everything and how we designed this and all-wheel drive system and all this cool shit. So first off, powertrain wise, 414 cubic inch LS3 stroker. Texas Speed, shout out to them, helped us with the full cam kit for it. So this thing is running a stage 3 NA cam, even though we plan on boosting it because every cam is a boost cam. So a 414 stroker is basically an unbored out LS3 with a 4-inch crank. It comes out around to like 414, 415 cubic inches. So this one has 21cc dish pistons. The LS3 chambers are, I think, 68 cc's. And the compression ratio comes right around to 9.7 to 1. So this is pretty much primed to be boosted. It's not gonna be a high-strung NA motor. It may make like 520, 530 naturally aspirated, but on turbos, this thing is really going to pick up a lot. Now, to adapt this to make it all-wheel drive, we took a 6L80 and 4485 Borg-Warner transfer case, which is not really a transfer case, it's like a differential because it splits the torque rather than even drive shaft speeds like a traditional transfer case. But we took this out of an Escalade. So the traditional Canyon, the transfer case drops on the passenger side. So if you want to run an all-wheel drive system, it needs to drop on the driver's side. And with that, we couldn't use the torsion beams. So we had to completely redesign the front suspension, which I'm going to get into. But here, we're running a 4485 transfer case, the drive shaft from the Escalade, and also, we just shortened it, and then also the differential from the Escalade. So this is a GM 8.25 IFS front differential. And the funny thing about it is, this front differential has a bigger ring gear than the rear differential. This is an 8.25, this is an 8.0. So this is like the funny thing, like the front end is, on paper at least, stronger than the rear differential. Now, looking at the front where the suspension is, it's a lot of things much different than a factory Canyon. So first off, we have C6 Corvette upper control arms. We have a C6 Corvette spindle with C6 Corvette brakes. So we have a billet lower ball joint mount that adapts the factory Canyon lower control arm to the Corvette spindle. Also, we're running QA1, shout out to QA1 for helping us with these coilovers. These are some double adjustable QA1 coilovers, which we can adjust the rebound and the compression to dial in the ride so it's not just bouncing around the road all day. Because we want to make this is going to be a true street truck. This is going to have cold AC. I mean, we don't need heat around here. We already got the heat because we're in Louisiana. Now, getting to the back side of this truck, this amalgamation of a GMC Canyon. So first, we have the factory 8.0 differential converted to a 4-link. So you have a billet lower control arm that is a actual RPG off-road Bronco lower control arm that is adapted to fit into the factory leaf spring mount. And then we have custom brackets off of the axle to fit as well. Then we have adjustable arms at the top. Also is riding on the QA1 double adjustable coilovers. So that mounts onto the back side of that bracket. Then we have a bar specifically right here to mount for the shocks. We have our brake lines here that are going to split going into the brakes. And it suspends pretty well. I mean, I'm a heavier dude and I can get on there and it's pretty decent. I mean, oh shit. So what's stopping us from getting this truck on the road and potentially going to prison doing launches at every fucking stoplight? Now, luckily, I don't have to guess. There's a full sheet of everything that needs to be done. So we might be here a while. Install rear brake lines, fuel system, mount the tank, Run fuel lines, return line with regulator and flex fuel sensor, fuel pressure sensor, tie rods, upper ball joints, front brake job, paint calipers, new carpet, seats, shifter, coolant system, oil pan mod, electrical, fuel pump relay, radiator fan relay, battery system, engine harness, wire and brakes switch to Terminator X, main power cables, loom and secure harness, tap up, tap down, which is the shifter, paddle shifter shit, extended communication connector, mount bed, after exhaust and rear brakes, fenders, front bumper, trim, front lights and rear lights, and the list goes on. And 2 days, shit, goddamn.
Fucking asshole!
Now, to control all this, Holley has helped immensely. First off, we are using their dual 450 lph pump assembly, which will go into their 15-gallon fuel cell. The twin 450 pumps will be good for around 700 to 800 wheel horsepower on E85, which ethanol requires 30% more fuel than gasoline to maintain the same lambda value, and the biggest help to make all of this happen has been the Terminator X-Max standalone ECU and transmission controller. The Terminator comes with a fresh new wiring harness that replaces all the old shit that comes off the truck motor that you most likely will swap into one of your rides, but here we always take a step further and modify the harness to our liking, eliminating connectors that we won't be using and giving the ability to hide the harness for a cleaner install and look. The ECU itself is immensely powerful with self-learning capabilities and even more advanced calibration options to tune the VE table and timing, startup idle, air fuel targets, and all the boost control and even nitrous control. Now, where the max version of the Terminator comes into play is that it integrates drive-by-wire control for an extra level of safety and engine protection, and also transmission control for the 6-speed 6L80, including OEM-style tap-up and tap-down paddle shift controls, which we will definitely explore on the Cyclone. Now, with all these upgrades we've done, it's important to find out where we're sitting at weight-wise, and if we've added or subtracted weight from the starting point of 3,715 pounds.
Bruh. 34.28?
Well, I mean, we gotta put the hood on. Let's put the hood on.
And then you're gonna have like a powder filter and air intake.
Dude.
Now, with the inline 5 traded for an LS3, a beefier front differential, 2 more transmission gears, and luxurious supple G8 GXP leather seats, it tipped the scales at a little over 3,400 pounds. Which, when you put this into perspective, the aluminum single cab F-150s, known for being the cheat codes on the street, they only weigh around 4,200 to 4,400 pounds. We are coming in at half a ton less, 1,000 pounds lighter, and still maintaining all-wheel drive, a V8 up front, and even air conditioning. Now that the front end is together, wiring is somewhat there, not all the way finished, and fluids are topped up, it's time to break in the new build.
Put the computer on the floor.
Alright.
You don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Holy shit. He has to get the shifting so it shifts properly, but that first gear is fucking hard, dude. Oh, dude, first gear works good.
It's down again. Well, that's the first time we got first. I know.
Yeah.
I heard it.
That bitch is nasty, bro.
Shit,
Let's not break it just yet. It's been lasting. I mean, cooling is good and vitals.
Well, the transmission problems we were running into was that the limiter was set at 5,900 RPM while the shift points were up there around 7,000, meaning it was hitting the limiter before the shift. Now, once that was figured out, had a good day's rest, the next day we went hunting for 0 to 60 times.
Hey, it's doing what it's supposed to do, bruh. It's making its rounds.
The best time for the day while using the Draggy GPS timer, and keep in mind this truck is untuned just enough for the timing to feel good, the lambda is okay, the tires are Chinese, and the road is dusty, and it still clicked off a 1.8 second 60 foot and a 3.67 0 to 60 time. Now the goal here is to achieve at least a sub 3.5 second 0 to 60 by dialing in the rebounding compression on the QA1 coilovers so I can transfer weight properly, and hopefully 690s in the 8th on the street with a little bit more grip and some E85. But to see that, you're gonna need to tune in to the next video.
God, these things suck.